Nearly 13 years in prison, over 20 years as an attorney. Needless to say, I learned a few things. NTB, man. Mastering Two Worlds Part 2. So this video is speaking about how in my last video I talked about trying to master two worlds, trying to be in the streets and being so-called in the corporate world or the business world, you know, dipping and dabbing, slipping and sliding between the two worlds. And that's a recipe for disaster. But here's another instance where people are kind of compelled to a certain extent to try to master two worlds, and it's a really unfortunate situation. For many years I worked in youth services, and I serviced young people in many of the area schools in New York, junior high school, high schools particularly. And one day I was sitting with one of the guidance counselors in the office of a high school in the inner city, really bad neighborhood, and she made an observation that sometimes she would see some of the good kids after school, and she couldn't really tell them walking down the street from so-called bad kids, meaning the kids in the area, because they all kind of dress the same. And she was trying to understand why a so-called good kid would dress like some of the quote-unquote street kids. Why would they emulate their style, they dress, they walk, they talk? And it was befuddling to her, and I had to explain to her in the most respectful ways that our kids, unfortunately, and sometimes tragically, have to try to maneuver within two worlds: the world they are born in terms of their neighborhoods, and then the world that they're born in, the larger world or the main street world that was created all around them. Neither one did they have any total control over in terms of environmental controls. They were just placed there. And so a kid who's born and raised in the inner city oftentimes take on the speech patterns, the walk, the talk, the dress patterns. And she was talking specifically about the do-rag and the fitted hat and the sagging pants and the walk and the street vernacular and the street inflections, and she couldn't understand why they did it. And I tried to explain to her, sometimes you have to do that to not stand out. You have to do that to blend in. Just like the fierce warriors who go to war when they're warring in the jungle, they don't go to war in the jungle with neon lights hanging off their uniforms. They try to camouflage. They wear camouflage uniforms. Some of them may even put foliage all around their helmets and around their waists to look like they're part of the forest. Are they part of the forest? If someone saw them in the forest, a civilian, they would think that that's weird. They wouldn't understand why a man is walking around looking like the forest. He or she is doing it to stay alive. It's a survival tactic. They don't want to stand out. They're trying to blend in, and that's how they stay alive. Same thing with our children. Unfortunately, then when our children adopt these camouflage patterns, sometimes they come into the so-called real world, the world where this woman is. She was from Long Island, middle class, upper middle class, really good schools. Children go to really good schools and probably would have trouble being in the hood. And some of her children, honestly, if they would come to the quote-unquote inner city hood, they would stand out like sore thumbs. And eventually they would have to make a decision. Are they going to keep standing out, or would they too start to blend in? And my guess is they probably would start to try to blend in too, just again to not stand out and to survive. And so our children, again, are at a disadvantage because they have to master two worlds. They have to master the world of the inner cities which they're born, the vernacular, the swagger, the speech patterns, the dress. And then when they go for a job interview or try to go into the schoolhouses where many of the educators are not from that world, the educators are like, why are you talking like that? Why are you walking like that? Why are you dressing like that? I'm doing this to survive. Anyway, NTB, man.